So I just wanted to say before we start, first of all, welcome to this hall, and I wanted to just invite you. Maybe this is more for those who are speaking for the first time, or even for those who are used to speaking, to just say some, to just share who you are, and if something doesn't go as you thought, just go with it. We are here to listen to stories and to different perspectives, and I'm just looking forward to get to know you all better. So I'm not sure now what to do, because Marietka is not here, but I think we start, because otherwise we're going to be late. So I'm inviting up to the stage Jaela and Urshka and Supriya. So nobody has a PDF presentation, right? No. Okay. So everybody has up to 12 minutes, and I will just give you a sign, let's say 5 minutes before the end, yeah? And so whoever wants to start, and you can either speak here in front of this one, or if you want to walk around, just let me know. So shall we just go by order?
I have the handheld one.
The handheld.
Behind the desk.
Okay.
Thank you. Just in case. This time I'll bring the right notes. Last time I had my notes in front of me of this talk. Wasn't very useful. Just in case. Hi, everybody. So great to be here again. This topic, man, when I saw that on the program, it resonated with me so deeply, and I felt so called to speak into it, and at the same time, I was terrified, seriously scared, and not kind of the nervous pre-talk, jitters, but like sweat in places there probably shouldn't be in Slovenian winter, scared. Because I realized, who am I to be talking about embodying vulnerability in leadership? Who am I, after having spent most of my career and adult life hiding behind a mask of, I've got this, I know it all, embodying anything but vulnerability. Actually, when I thought about standing up here today, I felt like a big fat fraud. So let me paint you a little picture, just for context. So about 4 years ago, actually even 3 years, 2 years, 1 year ago, there was a very different woman who would have stood in front of you, radically different. My life was one fueled by adrenaline, one fueled by caffeine, fueled by push and hustle and grind, and pretense, by playing this part that I thought was expected of me. I don't know by whom, but in my mind I had this picture of what a successful woman looked like, what she said, what she sounded like, what she wore, and I basically modeled my life after that. It wasn't mine. It was just this role I was playing, although I didn't realize it at the time. So about 4 years ago, I had this crazy rat race, power woman life from the outside, and it looked like I had it all. I had this beautiful marriage at that time, like 13 years. I had the perfect little family that I so carefully curated. It sounds terrible, but yeah, it wasn't as conscious as it sounds, but I had a really big business that grew from my kitchen table, where literally I mastered the art of pushing a stroller with one foot while typing emails like this. It's a skill I can teach you. And that grew from that kitchen table to a multinational, multi-million-dollar business. So I pretended to be that person, or at least who I thought I was supposed to be. And from the outside, it looked like I had it all. But I was miserable. I was completely disconnected from myself, from my body, from the relationships, the people in my life. I felt empty, numb even. And I felt trapped. I couldn't say that. I couldn't even think it. How ungrateful would that be? Because I had it all. I felt that would be social, professional suicide. So a while ago I was in Bali, and as one does in Bali, I started talking to a random person next to me in a cafe. And this guy was telling me about this principle that stuck with me, and I've repeated it over and over again. He said, the universe first sends you a feather, then a brick, and then a bus. So I'd had my feather when I was in the middle of that caffeine-fueled craziness, with all the success, just in the form of a whisper, in the form of a knowing that there was something else out there for me, something that felt more meaningful, less empty. But I had no idea what that was, nor did I have the balls to actually go and find out. So I did what any rational person would do. I pushed it away, that weird little voice, because I had it all. So why would I go look for something else? And it just kind of pushed it away into a corner. And that worked for a while. And I continued on my, now in hindsight I know, kind of self-destructing way. And then the brick came. The break for me was, being rushed to the hospital with blazing sirens in an ambulance for an emergency surgery that I could have seen coming miles away had I not been so disconnected from everything. The signs were very obvious. And you'd think that was enough of a wake-up call, but the real kicker, and I'm really not proud of this, was that less than 8 hours post-op, I went back to the office to fire someone whose grandmother had just died. You can't make this shit up. Honestly, it's terrible. And at that moment, I had a little out-of-body experience where I looked at myself. I'm like, don't really love this person sitting there right now. But yeah, I did it because the contract would roll over and all of the reasons I told myself why that was a really great idea. So that was a bit of a rock bottom where I had this moment of seeing myself, and I did, the trendy eat, pray, love thing. I went to a yoga retreat in Bali, which was funny because I'd never done yoga I was the opposite, just the opposite. Which started a slow change of my lifestyle, incremental. And I'd seen that that's not who I wanted to be, but I had no idea how to break free. And after going back, I started changing my life, but I kept getting sucked back into it, to the point where the only logical thing I thought to do was to move to the other side of the world. So I packed up my family. I had 2 young children and a husband at the time, and we moved 18,000 kilometers to New Zealand from Amsterdam, where I'm originally from. Because that was the only way I could separate myself from that crazy business, from that crazy life. But the thing is, you can take yourself out of the external problem, but if you don't change what's happening inside, nothing changes. So within no time, even in this beautiful, pristine country, even with a 12-hour time difference and literally that separation from my old life, I found myself running that business at night, because there's a 12-hour time difference, through a screen, and launching new agencies, new offices in new countries, and just adding on. So of course I wouldn't listen, so the universe sent in a bus. And that bus, oh God, I need to hurry the fuck up. The bus completely flattened me. The bus came in the form of a complete crumbling of anything that I knew to be true, anything I knew was me, my identity, my life, my 15-year marriage, my family. I was forced to sell my business. With that, lost, all the safety and security, the financial security that offered me, all of that. Boom, 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 gone. Now, why am I sharing this story here today? Because this right here is the power of vulnerability. vulnerability had a really bad rep in my vocabulary for a long time. It left a really nasty aftertaste of weakness and of, just a negative taste in my mouth. But what I learned through this is that vulnerability is the key ingredient for connection. Who here now feels like, we share something, we have this moment of actually connecting with one another. That is not possible if I would have just got up here with I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've this all figured out. That's not a thing. So it is the key ingredient for connection, as connection is the key ingredient for trust. And trust, in turn, is what builds relationships. Now, I don't care what type of business you're in, what industry, any business is built on the foundation and blocks of relationships. Your clients, people. Your stakeholders, people. Your team, people. Goes on and on and on. So knowing that relationships are the foundation of any business, it's the most powerful asset and currency we have. Knowing that, and knowing how that is fueled if you reverse engineer by connection, by trust, by vulnerability. I think the question to sit with today is not, do we embrace vulnerability? But really it should be, how could we not? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I realized that I didn't announce the topic. Yes, because it's the first day of my period, so brain not here. So sorry. Yeah, and I love this topic because I think it's very present also right now in the collective and for everyone, and we are really allowing ourselves, like you say, to step into it and to then grow and expand. Okay, so I'm giving the mic to Urška. You want to take this one?
I think I will prefer this one.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm a judge, so this is why I'm speaking like this. Yeah, and as you can see, I have something prepared, as a good judge would always have. Funny, because I think there are two judges here at this conference, and I don't think that if you think of a judge, you see a woman like me. I have tattoos, I have piercings, I have boots. I was not like this always. I'm speaking slowly because I'm Slovene, of course, and English is foreign language for me, but I will make an effort for you. So first, let me say my name is Urška. This is a very Slovenian name. I hope you won't break your tongue. I'm 42 years old. As I said, my profession is a judge. I'm a civil law judge. I'm also a mother, a wife, a writer, a horse rider, a traveler, an adventurer. But this is what I am now. It was not always like this. I come from a small Slovenian town, Sevnica, and you know who else comes from Sevnica? Mrs. Trump, Mrs. Melania Trump. But contrary to her, I did the things right. So I was a good child. I excelled at school. Because of my looks, I denied the modeling opportunities when I was a student. I finished my degree with honors. I passed the bar exam very quickly. I married the man my age. And I also finished my master's degree. And I became a judge when I was 30. When I was 35, I had children, twins. I became head of one of the civil departments at the local court of Ljubljana. So as you can see, I was also successful, if you can say that that is success. I did all the things right. But unfortunately, those things were not right for me. I didn't know that at the time. I wasn't happy and I didn't feel fulfilled. I had everything I wanted I had everything I worked for. But you know, to be fulfilled was not really normal, at least not here in Slovenia. You were not supposed to enjoy life, you were not supposed to feel fulfilled. You were supposed to, or let's say that the only purpose in life was to follow the socially acceptable rules here and just live your life until you die. So if you make an impact, doesn't really matter. The turning point in my life for me came when one of my sons, I have 2 sons, twins, became very ill, seriously ill. For 2 years, that was in 2016 and 2017, we were struggling with horrible, uncontrollable, daily, multiple seizures. And that happened every single day. Every time he fell asleep, he had seizures. He stopped breathing. I didn't know whether he was going to make it. And I collapsed. I completely collapsed. I couldn't be there for my son. I tried, but then I couldn't be there. I couldn't cope seeing him going through this, and I was not able to do anything. The doctors here didn't find the cure. They didn't give me any hope. They said, we'll see, let's see what happens. This was a 3-year-old child. Every single night I cried my heart out. My other child saw me like this every day, every night. And at one point I said to my children, you know, Mom is also ill, Mom is also sick, she also needs help. My parents came, they took care of the children. My husband, I don't know how he managed, but he did. I was also sent to the hospital. You can imagine which one. And I remember that every day at the hospital, I went out, there was a forest near the hospital, and there was a tree, and I would sit under that tree and just cry every day because things were not getting better. Things were not getting better, and I didn't know whether my boy will walk, whether he will speak, whether he will just die or what. So, as you can see, I was a strong, determined woman, a well-organized leader at work. Or so I was perceived by others, and I failed completely. I was not able to help my son at all. Because this was something beyond me. I couldn't control the illness. So the illness took over our lives. And accepting this illness was a very, very long and painful process. I don't know where I found the strength to put myself back on my feet. And I was beginning to search for an answer, beginning to search for doctors who would be able to help us. And I did find one. I found a professor in Germany. And although I didn't have any expectations, I took my son to this professor, and he saved us. He saved our lives. He diagnosed my son correctly. He gave him the right medication. And I can't say that my son is seizure-free, but he is better. He's walking, he's speaking, now he's at school. Right now he's at school learning letters and numbers. And you know, he says, Mom, I still have these cramps, don't I? And I say, yes, you do. But I think you'll grow out of these cramps because, we know a very nice old professor in Germany, and I hope that he will live long. I do. And we go there every 2 years, and he will check you. He will do everything he can so that you are okay. And now, I think that my son saved me. I believe that he came to me to show me that I am human, I am vulnerable, that life is not a routine and it is much too complex to be controlled. I don't know if the time is right to fully embrace the fact that we are vulnerable, but I know that I was hit to the core. And I'm not to show you and to tell you that I'm a vulnerable woman, very, very vulnerable. But I'm also happier, and I try to enjoy life as much as I can. And when it comes to hard situations, whether they are at home or whether they are at work, or anywhere else, I allow myself to feel vulnerable. How others see this doesn't really matter to me anymore, really. Because I know I will get back on my feet. I did it in one of the hardest situations the woman can find herself in. And I will do it again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was crying. Yeah. Okay, so next, Marietka. Yeah. You want to use this one or this one?
Thank you very much. Welcome from my side too, and wish you good event. So it is really my great pleasure to be here with all of you and to share a few of my thoughts about this special topic called vulnerability. So I prepared some speech or to share some thoughts I'm writing down, but maybe because you are sharing so much grateful experience of your own, maybe I realize on my chair that I need to share some of mine. So I was 25 years event manager for all the big companies here in Slovenia and even from the Slovenian fair in Ljubljana and in Celje. And this was the times when the companies have enough money. There was not a problem about the money. There was not a problem about the people. Now, how is the time today? So, and I have a lot of groups working on the events, good groups, and of course, when we finished some work, they order it another one and another one. I have full of contracts and so on. I have a lot of work and I have a lot of money, everything. I bought a house, I bought a ranch, I have horses, and car and so on. But on the other hand, here millennium comes, and on this time, I don't know, companies get crazy. And communities here in Slovenia, who will be better? They have some sort of competition or something, I don't know. I was lucky because I specializing in the events from kids. And it was the better thing because I have an opportunity to take my kids with me. They listen to stories, they are on the music events and so on. And this December I have 320 events. You can't imagine. I even running from one to another, and I put the best groups on the events where I can't be personally by myself. And we manage all of them. But in January, I told my husband and kids, maybe we go, I don't know, to Egypt on the beach. I need to rest because it was too much in December. And when I start to brushing my hair, I do like this, and all my hair started broken and falling down. And then I went to doctor because I'm feeling so tired and so on, and my thyroid broke up completely, and I need to stay at home for a year and a half. And in this year and a half, I finished the school and so on, my master, and then I'm creating, and then I'm start to working in Life Learning Academy, where I'm a director still now. And of course, we put all the focus how the companies need to be better, to put all the focus on employees, because the employees are the treasure of the company, and this is the most important thing, not to put them, I don't know, more and more work and be successful and just check, underline if everything is finished and how much money we get over the months, but we need to put maybe something else. So that's the sentence: vulnerability is engaging in life, being all in, dedicating yourself to something. Vulnerability allows for building greater bonds and increasing emotional connections. And now I will skip something. So, teams that bond together through shared experience often perform better. We leaders are vulnerable. They are more open and emotionally available, which creates more bonding opportunities and improves team performance. Vulnerability is required for authentically. We know that authentically helps build trust, which is especially valuable now, when trust in businesses and leaders in general is sorely lacking. And authentically means being open and honest about your beliefs and values. Authentic behaviors include admitting mistakes, showing emotion, and not hiding behind an manufactured facade. It is impossible to be authentic without being willing to be vulnerable. Why? Because all of us, no matter who we are, no matter what we are doing and where we are working, we are just human beings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marietka, for sharing. I love it how you spoke about authenticity as well. And so let's go to the next one. Supriya, do you want this mic or? Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here. Why? Not because I'm at the Women Economic Forum, and of course, Slovenia is beautiful and peaceful. This is a very different kind of city that I have visited. All those are the reasons of my happiness and fulfillment and satisfaction. But what makes me really happy is I'm getting to learn from the experiences of all of you around here. Because, do I have your permission to be authentic? Yeah? Okay. I have to seek permission because honestly, when I listen to your experiences here, I realize that my experience so far has been quite shallow in life. Okay, it has been quite shallow. So what I'm going to talk about here is from the professional point of view. And I would like to ask you, since you have given me the permission to be authentic, so I will be my authentic self, and I will ask you, when you hear this word vulnerability, from a professional point of view, when you hear this word vulnerability, does it freak you out, or do you ask yourself, oh, they are asking us to be vulnerable, but how can I be vulnerable? According to the dictionary, vulnerability means you're allowing yourself to get hurt, or opening up yourself emotionally, physically, to allow someone to hurt you. Does it not freak you out? How are these leadership principles asking you to be vulnerable? I mean, yes, there are 4 types of vulnerabilities that we talk of. We have the physical, we have the social, we have the economic, and we have the attitudinal. So what I realized is they are talking about the attitudinal vulnerability. And when we're talking about the attitudinal vulnerability, what comes to my mind is one story that I would like to share with you. Like I said, my experiences are pretty shallow in terms of what I have heard so far. So at the age of 23, I'm not 30 yet. At the age of 23, I got to work in a senior leadership position where our boardroom used to consist of 12 members, and all of them male, and I was the only female there and the youngest one. And within myself, I used to tell, oh, how did I land up here? This is not the right place for me. Not because they were all men, but because I was 23, and their experiences were more than 30 years. So they were double my age, some of them, and some of them even more experienced than that. But that taught me a lot of lessons. One, the first thing I learned was there not to be vulnerable, okay? Because I had to survive in that environment. So I could not be vulnerable. I had to wear that armor all times and just be as if I don't feel anything. I cannot open up. Okay. And then our company sent us for a leadership session. And when they sent us for a leadership session, it was not for the entire board. With the different head of departments, we were to go with our own department. So I had my team, and in the hierarchical order, they were lower in the hierarchy as compared to myself. And we had a leadership session, a 3-day leadership retreat there. So on the final day of the session, one morning, there was an activity called MAD, Make a Difference, okay? And we were to just let ourselves flow and talk about how we are going to make a difference in this world. So I have my team sitting in a horseshoe, and I have to just walk around, and I have to be my authentic self and be my real self and speak from the heart. Now, you are asking somebody to speak from the heart who in her career so far has never spoken from the heart. I have not had a chance to speak from the heart. All my words are so manicured and well-tailored. Before I speak something, I had to know very well what I was speaking about. And now in this activity with my team members, I was asked to speak from the heart. I could not do that. And for somebody who has excelled academically and in doing my professional work so far, that sounded like a failure to me. Oh, what are they talking about? And I started questioning the coach, the leadership coach, because I'm an engineer by background, and that calls me to ask questions, and I want to know the logic about everything. When I saw my team members speaking from the heart, honestly, I felt it was too authentic, and to me, it looked like as if they were putting up a show. So I asked the coach, okay, this activity, it does not make any sense to me. I really said that in front of everyone, which now I realize I should not. And we should be open to what is being taught or said. Okay, but I said in front of the coach and my team, this activity does not make sense to me, but since you mentioned that if our team has to pass collectively, then all the individuals have to carry out the activity. And if I don't do it, my team members will not pass. So I will do it for my team members. And then the coach said, okay, we'll leave you for 5 minutes with your team members. That was the first time with my team members that I kept quiet and I listened. Otherwise, it was the opposite way always. The authoritarian type of a person as a leader. It was the opposite way. So I had my team sitting here, and they were all explaining to me why I should be a part of this activity, even if it does not make sense to me. And I told them, I cannot think of anything what I can speak right now. And if you want me to speak from the heart, it has to actually come out from the heart. Otherwise, I'm not doing any justice to this. But I'll do it because of all of us. And then they were giving me all the justifications. And that was the first time that my team did not give me a chance to speak. So I literally had to keep quiet. My eyes were getting wet because it has never happened before that my team is speaking to me and I am keeping quiet because of the kind of experience I had had. And literally, some of the tears started coming from the eyes, and people had never seen me that way. And finally, okay, we agreed, and I did the activity. That was fine. And when they came out with a report and they said, okay, so you lack vulnerability, this nice vulnerability word, which is there. Too good, too good. A lot of leadership coaches are talking about this these days. But the fact is, what they do not tell us is the complete story. There is a time and place to be vulnerable. You can open up yourself. You can open up with your team members, with the people around you, with your family, friends, whatever it is. But there is a time and place. You cannot carry your basket of emotions and just take it everywhere and sharing something with everyone. It's a great concept, vulnerability, but tell me any one person that you have seen who is vulnerable all the times. It's not possible. It's not possible. Although, there is another contrarian view to this. If you see yourself crossing the road, or driving a car, or at work, or cooking, or anything that you're doing, you are experiencing uncertainty, you're experiencing risk, and you're experiencing some kind of emotional exposure. Anything you do is uncertain. Of course, we have a plan. I'm going to do this. On 29th of November, I'm going to be in this place. On 30th of December, I'm going to do this. Fine, but do all the plans work out? There is an element of uncertainty in everything. And everything we do, just these small examples that I gave, we are vulnerable in whatever we are doing. But when it comes to consciously being vulnerable at your workplace or in leadership positions, then it becomes a tossy question. So from my side, in leadership positions at workplaces, there is a time and place to be vulnerable. One cannot be vulnerable 100% of the times. And of course, like my colleague here mentioned, that you mentioned it here, that authenticity is the first level. And then comes vulnerability. So of course, it's like the layers of an onion. You peel out the layers one by one, and then when you reach the inside, you reach a point where you cannot peel out further. There's a small bulb inside where you cannot peel out further. That is your original self. You cannot be vulnerable with that self. So that is something that you have to keep with yourself. And of course, keep unlayering yourself to others, those around you. It helps to be vulnerable, like all of you mentioned, building connections, emotional connectivity, performance in job and workplaces. Because these days we are looking at organizations that are value-driven, that want us to succeed and not just a job. We want a career, we want a calling. So of course, we are looking at organizations, at people around us who are willing to be vulnerable and who expect us to be vulnerable too. But there is a time, there is a place, and there is a level up to which you can be vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. And I don't know about you, I mean, I'm loving the topic and I'm loving the different perspectives. And I think we have a few more minutes if somebody has an insight or some thoughts that were coming up or something that you would like to add, because I would like to make this, something that we all co-create. So
maybe I can connect to all your, because all my life I've been doing the right thing, as you were, and the problem was that when things started collapsing in my personal life, not in my professional life. Professional life, I was excellent. I was always the driver. I was a tank. I wasn't even a car. I was a tank. But on the other side, how to say that? Trouble with concentration, and everything was too much for me, and I was hiding that part. I was the one that I was in the front row every time, everywhere. The problem with my part of Tina Private collapsed. I couldn't go to anyone. I didn't have the network to say, okay, I have trouble. And that was the experience that actually helped me to evolve a part of me that is vulnerable. And I always say, I'm not fearless. I always thought I'm fearless. I'm not fearless, but I do fear less. Because the vulnerability is the part that actually you always can ask yourself and say, can I manage this? I did already. I did this, I did this, I did this. It's fine. Are there troubles ahead? Of course there are. Nothing's perfect. It never is going to be perfect. But did I manage back then? I did. Am I okay now? I am. will I be okay in the future? Of course. And that's the one vulnerable part. And I always thought that that was the tank part, but it's not. The vulnerable part of a person that can go over the gaps and over the struggles in life.
Yeah.
I can add,
Yeah.
just saying thank to you guys because girls, sorry. I really enjoyed it, and I have to say, as I'm a therapist, even when you're in the business of listening to someone else's vulnerability, it's so easy to say it's not for me. Even in this kind of role, and I realized also with personal, let's say, breakdowns that once you embrace that, you're becoming more vulnerable and it's much easier to connect with others. So, it's a crazy idea, but not being vulnerable and being psychotherapist, I really believe that for a while. So now when it's something I'm okay with, I feel like I'm better at connecting with others, and I really feel like we need more of these stories. These stories I hear in psychotherapy. I don't hear them like this today, and I think it's very important to share these ideas. So thank you so much.
So thank you everyone, Yaela, Urshka, Marietka, and Supriya, and also you too for sharing. So if I sum it up, what I got from it is, yes?
I wanted to say, this is a very painful story that I have, and I wanted to show you how someone who is perceived by the society as being the strong, determined woman, a judge, how I collapsed completely and how life showed me you don't have to be strong. You are not that strong. As if life said, I have to teach you a lesson, okay? I have to teach you a lesson. You're not always right. You're not always the first. You're not always the best. You're not always, you know what I mean? It's okay. And it's okay. And it's okay. And you cannot control me. Because I was a control freak, of course, I controlled everything, and it worked. In my life, everything was controlled by me. How we got the apartment, how we raised the children, when we had children, when I finished all the degrees that I finished, when I finished the bar exam, and of course how I decide cases. It's me who decides the cases. And then something so painful and terrible. It is. I don't think there is a more painful thing that can happen to you as a child's death or child's illness. Child death is, of course, that's the most horrible thing that can happen to you. For me, it was the illness, and it changed me completely. And I didn't even think about this, because it lasted so long. It lasted for 2 years, and it went so deep that I didn't think, oh, now I have to change my life. I was like, oh, you have to change your life now, do something else, It just happened. And I was talking to a friend of mine, I said, it just happened, this is, and now that I went through this, I can enjoy life, I really can. If sometimes I don't decide right, the appellate court says I was not right. Okay, I was not right. Okay, doesn't matter. No, doesn't matter. Okay, there is a cramp. Oh, my son still has, as I said, small cramps, but they are slowly disappearing. Thank God. I said, okay, yeah, this is something that we still have to deal with, that we still have to live with, And it's okay. And I enjoy things, and I say to myself, oh, it's okay to enjoy things, It's okay. It's okay to go on a trip. It's okay to spend money on you. Go and have a pedicure. Go and have a manicure. Go to the, to the Thai massage, Because it's okay. It's okay. Enjoy yourself. Love yourself. Because then you're going to be a better mother, a better woman, a better wife, I don't know, And this is my life. I say this is a lesson that I learned in life. It came in form of my child, and I always say to him, you're a hero, You're a hero, because you lived through this. It was really bad. The seizures were really bad. Sometimes he was screaming. I thought we were in a slaughterhouse. He was screaming so much before the actual seizure came. And the doctors, they didn't have a clue here. And we were left alone. We were left alone for 2 years. When I got back on my feet, then I started searching for answers for doctors who would help me. And, you know, before I didn't think, oh my God, I have to find someone from abroad. That was like, no, other people do that, not me. I have to go and find a doctor in I don't know, in Germany, in England, or no, that was like unthinkable. But now I'm grateful, and I said to myself, you're a hero. You're not a hero.
Yeah, so I want to thank you again for sharing, because vulnerability is also connecting. You give others permission to feel, to talk about what's happening, to ask for help and assistance. And I think when you go through an experience like this, it opens a huge door for you to be free with yourself in your work and in your private life. Yeah.
Add something on the back of that. Because once I realized the power of vulnerability and how that leads to connection and trust and relationships, that's all great to have a, aha moment like that. But then what do you do? Because how do you bring that, how do you integrate that into your work, especially, right? Because the workplace is traditionally much more rigid, and traditionally there's no room for that type of vulnerability. So it's all nice and fine to have these big ideas, but then how do you live it? And that, for me, felt quite intimidating, not just because of the fear